Okay, so we're talking about math division. Today's the day that you're going to be taking the test. And if this were in my classroom, I would go over our last test just a little bit. So we're going to take a look at the last test. There were a couple of problems that were a little tricky. Okay, so this is a review about multiplications. And you remember that we talked a lot about equal groups. Separating things in equal groups is really, really important. So multiplication is really just quick addition. You have a certain number of groups and a certain number in each group. Don't get these confused. So this is 4 equal groups of 3. So if we added those up, it would be 12. Go ahead. So there's 4 times 3, and the product is 4 groups. 3 in each group, 12. Okay, I didn't have the fly in for some reason. So this is maybe a test that looks a little bit familiar to you guys. So we took something very similar a few days ago. Hopefully all of you took the test. And we had these first 2 problems that were a little bit tricky. Because if you look at that and you were just starting out 2nd grade, you would say, oh, I can do that. 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6. And you would have answered 6. And many of you did answer 6. But that was not the question because that's not what they were asking you. So you really had to read this question. Which shows how many groups? Remember, equal groups. And we have 1, 2, 3. 3 equal groups. So the answer is 3.
Oh, 2.
That's okay, we're going back, no problem. This second question was also a little bit tricky, and many of you answered 4 plus 4. I learned that last year. 4 plus 4 is 8, and you circled 8. But then we had to mark it wrong, because that's not the question. The question is, which shows how many in each equal group. So we know there are 2 equal groups, but the number in each equal group is 4. So you should have circled 4. So that's just a little review. That might come up again because we are going to take a unit test in just a couple of days. So you want to be very careful. Make sure you're answering the question they're asking. That's just super important. Race, race, race. Here we go. Division. Ron has 15 fish, and he has 3 different kinds of fish. So he has put his fish into equal groups. Remember, equal groups based on the kinds. How many different kinds? 3. So how many fish in each group? So the math division problem is 15. Remember, the bigger number comes first. 15 divided into 3 equal groups. So the answer, I think, does come up. There we go. Look at that. 15 divided by 3 is 5. I know you guys knew that. That's easy. Okay, this is very, very similar to a question you're going to see on the test. All it says is 20 flowers, 5 groups. So what I'm going to ask you to do is write the division sentence. If you write the division sentence, it's going to help you. Go ahead and push the button. The answer is 4, but what I expect to see on your paper somewhere is 20 divided by 5 equals 4. And remember, if you want to check that, the easy way of checking it is saying 4 times 5 is 20. So you're just checking your work by doing the opposite. Big number first, divide into groups next. How many in each group? Okay, cool. So now we have another one exactly like that. This time we have 18 divided into 2 equal groups. So it's 18 divided by 2. Now if 18 is pretty big, if you wanted to skip count, you could. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. How many fingers do I have up? 9. So let's see what the answer is. 9. So that's not hard. Now we have 12 divided into 4 equal groups, and the answer is 3. Just to keep in mind, even though I told you these are the questions that you'll see on the test, I changed all the numbers. So don't try memorizing the answers because the numbers have changed. Okay, go ahead. Now, this is very similar to a question that will be on the test. Start with 14. Put 2 in each group. Write the division sentence. The answer is 7. So the division sentence is 14 divided by 2 equals 7. Okay, let's see another one. Same thing, only it's going to be 10. So on your test, you're going to write 10 divided by 2 equals 5. That's not hard. Easy, easy. Next one is 20 divided by 10, and the answer is 2. Remember, if you wanted to check your work, you could say 2 times 10 equals 20. So if you're confused or unsure, that's the way to do it. Okay, so one of the things you're going to see on the test are these number lines. The number lines don't give you a whole lot of information, but it does say what we're going to use to separate. So in this it says Joe subtracts 2 to divide by 2. Now you're maybe thinking, okay, 2 is a pretty small number. Where's my big number that I start with? Look at the number line. Look at the biggest number they have out there, usually. And then it says he subtracts 2. So I'm going to count over 2. So it's kind of like skip counting by 2, but backwards. So I'm going to go 6, 4, 2, 0. When I get to 0, I'm done. And then I'm going to count the mountains and see how many of these bubble things I have. 1, 2, 3, 4. So my answer is, once I have 8 divided by 2 equals, one more time, 4. Okay. Here's another one. But this one says Joe subtracts 4 to divide by 4. Show how many times he subtracts. Remember, you're going to start at the number line with the biggest number. And then you're just going to subtract 4 each time until you get to 0. So we're going to start with 20. We're subtracting 4. So how many sets of 4 are there? 5. Next one. Joe subtracts 5 to divide by 5. You're like, wait a second. That's right. I start with the biggest number. I'm going to divide into the groups they tell me. So 35 divided by 5 is 7. Next one. Okay, we're going to talk about remainders. Remainders seem to be a little bit of a hiccup. So I'm going to show you a way to do it, and I promise you it'll be easy. So Joe has 9 dots. He makes 2 equal groups. How many does Joe have left over? So we're talking about remainder. On your test, I suggest with your highlighter that you highlight the word remainder so you don't get confused and put down one of these other numbers. Okay, go ahead. 9, because we started with 9, into 2 equal groups is 4. So let me show you the thing I didn't show you the other day. This is what we're going to do. We're going to say 2 times 4, or 4 times 2, is 8. And we're going to write the 8 down right here underneath our biggest number, and then we're going to subtract. 9 take away 8 is
1.
Oh, 1. That's right. Good job. It's 1. So that tells you the remainder right away. It's not always going to be 1, but let's try another one. Okay, now Joe has 14 dots, and he separates them into 3 equal groups. So what I have to do, I really need to be familiar with my 3 times tables, which we've been saying that for a long time, but I'm going to skip count by 3. I want to see how close I can get to 14 without going over. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. 15 goes over. So that's not going to work. So I have to stop there. And I'm going to remind myself what that is. 3, 6, 9, 12. So I'm going to say 4 goes here. And then I'm going to say 4 times 3 is 12. And I'm going to write 12 there. In fact, go ahead, Miss Bachelor. 14 divided by 3 is 4. Not yet. I'm going to subtract. What's 14 take away 12? And the answer is 2. And 2 is my remainder. Remember, remainder is the leftover. Okay, let's try another one. Now Joe has 7 dots. And Joe separates them into 2 equal groups. So I'm going to skip count by 2, and I can't go over 7. So 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 is too much because that's bigger than 7. So I need to say 2, 4, 6. So that's 3. 7 divided by 2 is 3. And then I'm going to get my remainder, I'm going to say 3 times 2 is 6. And then I'm going to subtract, and I'm going to get 1. So that's how you figure out the remainders. Be very, very careful on that. And here's our last one. 15 divided by 4. You know what? I'm going to let you push the buttons. Okay. Back up one. Can you back up one? Pretend like you didn't see that 3. So I'm going to skip count by 4s, but I can't go over 15. 4s are a little bit tough. 4, 8. Now if you don't know what 3 times 4 is, just take 8 and add 4 more. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 8 plus 4 is 12. So my third one is 12. And then you take 12 and you add 4 more, you're going to get 16. 16 is too much. So I'm going to stick to what I had there. 4, 8, 12. So we know it's 3. There it is. 3 times 4 is 12. I'm going to subtract, and I get 3. So my remainder is 3. So hopefully that makes remainders a little more clear. I'm hoping. Okay, the rest of the problems you'll see on the test are pretty much word problems. And the nice thing is, except for one, the word problems, what you're going to do is you're just going to make it into a division sentence. 10 divided by 5. We can skip count by 5s, which is easy. 5, 10. And so the answer is 2. Make sure on these word problems that you write the division sentence. Don't just guess. 10 divided by 5 is 2. Each student got 2 rockets. How cool is that? Okay, next one. Okay. What would be the answer to the question, how many in each group? Once again, what are they asking? How many in each group? So notice that there are 3 groups of 4, and I know 3 groups of 4 is 12. So I'm going to say 12 divided by 3 equals 4. So it's very, very important that you remember 3 is the equal groups. There are 3 equal groups. The answer is 4 because there's 4 in each group. And that's the last one. Just to let you know, I think the very last question is a word problem that talks about remainder. So make sure that when you're answering the questions that you look for what is it they're asking for. Are they asking me for the remainder, Or are they asking me for the quotient? Are they asking me for the answer to the division problem? So be careful, check your work, write your name on your paper. Make sure when you're done, when you think you're done, go back and look at each page and make sure each page has answers on each page. Okay, we love you guys. Do your best.